Know that you work in a healthy working environment if you're not dreading Monday. If when you wake up, the first things that goes through your head is not,
I have to go back.
Or I have to go
Into the work environment and trying to establish what is it that is, when we say a healthy work environment, what does that mean to a grade 1 child? Because they say if you cannot explain what you do to a 5-year-old, you also don't know what you're doing.
And I think for a lot of companies that are dynamic and changing and moving into the new times, we're seeing more leaders as opposed to bosses. So, without feeling like I'm letting the team down,
Hello there and welcome to another episode of Cool Calm Minds, but I want to call it Random Chats. My name is Tatenda for the guys that are new for the first time, and if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. I've got a white lady next to me that was saying, whew, I'm so loud. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump into the joining, the liking, the sharing and the subscribing, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you my newfound best friend, Tarryn French. Hi, Ter.
hello.
How are you?
Good and you?
Good to see you.
And you?
On here. You know, when I asked you and I said, can you come on the podcast? I was like, okay, she's going to say no. Then you're like, yeah, sure, let's do it.
I think I say no to very little.
Wow.
I'm not scared of it. Because I think it's important for, if you have, I don't want to say this the wrong way. If you have knowledge to share, if you have insights to share, if you can broaden minds, if you can expand minds, if you can educate, then you should always do that.
Yeah.
So as much as I said I don't like hearing my voice or seeing myself on a video.
Did I tell you that you've got a nice voice though for radio?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Maybe if this doesn't
Take
work
it.
out for me, I'll
Exactly.
move over to radio.
Before.
Yeah.
That's why they say as we are growing up, you realize that teaching doesn't work out, I'm going to go into construction. If construction doesn't work out, that's just
I think 18-year-olds, it's way too young to figure out what you want to do in life, right?
They don't know.
No.
Do they even know who they are?
No.
Anyway, who is Tarryn?
Good question. Tarryn French, I don't know. What do you want to know? I am currently a coach and trainer for a real estate company. And I've done coaching and training for a number of years now. Started off in real estate selling. And then the more I did that, the more people wanted to learn about what I was doing and how I was doing it. And then I started to teach and coach, and I loved it.
Nice.
So now I've completely moved into coaching and training, and I eat that up. I absolutely love learning how to be a good leader, a good trainer, a good coach, a good... funny enough, I studied teaching.
Nice.
At university.
Wow.
Primary school children.
Then when did it change to sort of let me go?
When I had my child, and then I was like, I don't like children. I like mine.
Disclaimer. French fry. I love you. I don't know what your mother's talking about. And I know you're watching this, but mom is talking nonsense.
I love my child.
Okay. You don't like children.
I like my child.
Yeah, you don't like children.
Yeah, and then I just found coming home to my child and needing to give her all of me while teaching other people's children was not my gig.
Wow.
And then I went into real estate and then discovered that maybe actually I had just missed my calling somewhat, and it wasn't children that I should be teaching, but rather adults. And
Nice.
that I love.
Wow.
That feeds my soul.
Wow. It's so amazing that for the people that don't know Tarryn, I met her because I'm coaching her daughter. Such a lovely, sweet child. Yeah. And I still remember when I was explaining certain concepts of the bowling and all that, the way you then expanded or expagurated that to her, like, you can be Coach Mom.
Coach Mom.
Yeah. That's the life.
That should be on a cap.
Yeah,
right?
Coach Mom. I think we need to get
that.
match that's written Coach Mom or
Right.
Coach Dad. Coach Dads are not the best, but Coach Mom.
No, Coach Dads are hectic.
Yeah.
Coach Mom's better.
Anyway, so lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for taking your time. But the one thing that I saw, I think from the first time that I got your contact, is all your statuses, they're not just there for the sake of putting out a status. It's there to sort of get everyone to understand who they are as a person in the environment and all that. And today we're trying to chat a little bit about toxic environments, relationships and all that. And when I sent that on my status, everyone just jumped onto it. And it's so funny that people are going through stuff. but no one has got the presence of mind to say, let me address it. Let me address the elephant in the room. Yeah. Is it because we are so scared of being fired or losing our income? What?
Yeah, I think for a lot of it comes a lot from how we were raised. And I think that the way we're brought up, we're obviously not intentionally by our parents, but I think in some way our teachers, our parents, our friends, we become people pleasers. Wow. And we're worried about saying no or declining things because we're so worried about how that might affect the other person. We don't want to seem selfish. We're very worried about how we might appear to those people. And so generally we put our own mental health and our own needs on the back burner because we don't want to hurt anyone else. And I think it's simply a case of figuring out how to do this where I don't hurt myself and I don't hurt the other person.
The other person, yeah.
So
it's not necessarily that we are trying to be bad people. It's just that we don't know where to draw the line so that it doesn't come across as I'm being too arrogant, or just because I say no to my boss, it doesn't necessarily mean that I disrespect his authority, or he's not a good enough person to give me instruction and I should take it. Yeah. Is it so? Can we then say the work environment needs to be redone and re-established so that people can sort of understand where they are and where they're going with their careers?
It's a tough topic because I think for a long time there's this very, I don't want to say old school, but I don't know what else to call it. So very much like an old way of thinking where there's this hierarchy and a boss is a boss.
Yeah.
You come in, you clock in, you are watched, you are timed. You are
do your work. Yeah.
Wants to know what you're doing, where you're doing it,
how you're doing it.
Yeah. I want updates every 5 minutes, and that's sort of the boss role. And I think for a lot of companies that are dynamic and changing and moving into the new times, we're seeing more leaders as opposed to bosses, which is beautiful. That's great. Wow. Because a leader is someone that you can have conversation with as opposed to just reporting to.
Yeah. I saw an illustration on social media where guys are climbing on top of each other to sort of get to the spot where there is success. So when they then get there, that's the leader, then he gives a rope to everyone to sort of climb up. And we always say leaders are the ones that are going to encourage you to get a promotion, to get bigger, to get better in your career, as opposed to back in the days, if I'm the leader or I'm the boss, no one is going to get a promotion. Absolutely. You work under me, you hear from me. Everything I do is what you're supposed to do because I am the boss. And it's so amazing that when we then get that sort of thing in the work environment, do we not feel like there's going to be a little bit of an issue between boss and the employee when it comes to respect? Because if I can come to work and I go, yeah, good morning, man, how you doing? Like, say, good morning, ma'am, how are you? That kind of vibe. Are we scared as leaders? Are we scared of blurring those lines between professionalism, between people?
I think that if you have a boss in the workplace, you very much know that your respect is demanded. And that I think it comes from a place of fear. Like, yes, I'm fearful for my job. If I walk in and I'm like, hey, then like there's going to be a reaction and it's not going to be a good one. Whereas I think if you work with a leader, you'll know that you work with a leader because there is trust, there's rapport, and I know where I stand with you enough that I know whether that's acceptable or not. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And I think the difference is a leader, the reaction would be different. So if someone did that to me and I didn't feel comfortable with it, it wouldn't be an outburst. It wouldn't be a reprimanding. It would be more, let's have a conversation about what happened there.
Yeah. My wife once said that there's certain statements that you would say. If a boss says, you need to come to my office, we need to talk. Or on Monday, we need to talk. The whole weekend, I'm pissing my pants. I'm thinking, what did I do wrong? Did I not?
Just anxiety.
There's so much anxiety. As opposed to, you and I need to catch up on a coffee. And you're thinking, oh yeah, we're having coffee. Only to realize that in the coffee, you're just being told. Is it something that you can say in the work environment, as we're going to get into the work environment and trying to establish what is it that is, when we say a healthy work environment, what does that mean to a grade 1 child? Because they say, if you cannot explain what you do to a 5-year-old, you also don't know what you're doing. So what does that mean when you speak about a healthy work environment? And how we speak to people or employees?
I like that question. I think that you know that you work in a healthy working environment if you're not dreading Monday. If when you wake up, the first things that goes through your head is not, oh,
I have to go back.
Do I have to go there? Do I have to see this person? I think if you, and listen, there's always going to be parts of our job that we don't enjoy. That's just life.
I think that's just life.
It is what it is. But if for the most part you enjoy what you do, yes, there's going to be niggles. Maybe there's this one oak in accounting that you just don't like.
Yeah.
You're not going to gel with everyone. You're not going to love everyone. You're not going to be loved by everyone. But I think for the most part, if you enjoy what you do and you're allowed to, so I think what's so important is that you are, when you work with a leader, I would hope that you will generally be in a position that suits your personality, that suits your style of working, your creativity or the lack thereof.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that who you are, you've been put into a position because it feeds to you, which immediately I feel would make you a happier person in your work environment.
Yeah.
If you took me and you put me in an accounting position,
you'll thrive.
it would not be good for anyone. It would not be good for my mental health. It would not be good for whoever I'm working for, because it's not who I am. I'm not a numbers person.
You're not a numbers
person.
Yeah.
So put me in a place where I can be with the people, speak to the people, teach the people. That's where I'm good.
Yeah.
So if you know your employees' traits, their goods, their bads, their weaknesses,
their traits, yes.
If you know those and you put them in a position that best feeds to that, then they're not pretending to be someone they aren't.
But at the same time, you get to a point whereby as adults, yes, I understand that when we're growing up, they say, do what you love and you never work a day in your life, which is, it's a cliche statement because at the end of the day, when you then grow older, it's no longer about what you love. But for some of us, yes, we are blessed because we're doing what we love. But for the most part, you're thinking, bills need to be paid. I need to get into a career where I know I'm going to get a job. When that person gets into that space and they realize that, nah, I suck at this. What now to get them to sort of find a balance? Yes, it's not what you wanted, but that's where you are. How do you make best of what you already have?
Best of the situation. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, like you said, I think you and I are lucky. I do what I love. I love what I do.
Exactly.
I think that what's important then is that I think we so often forget about balance. And so I might not love what I'm doing at work, but the goal is that I need to pay my bills every month. So perhaps I need to find something that's going to feed my soul elsewhere so that I'm not completely drained and hating my life at work.
I love that. I love that.
And that's the thing, if your goals are big enough and you know that this is what I'm doing it for, this is what I'm doing it for, I'm doing it so that I can send my kid to coach Tats every week, cricket coaching. If that's what I'm doing it for.
It's a motivation somewhat.
There's my motivation.
Yeah.
So often they call it your big why or your why, your reason.
Your reasons, So
if your reason is big enough and you're constantly reminding yourself of that and then feeding your soul elsewhere. So if I don't enjoy my job, but feeding my soul means going into nature and going on a hike and walking through the forest every weekend, and that brings me some peace so that I can find balance. If my balance is spending time with friends so that I can let it all out and rant and have a few drinks and then I feel better. Whatever feeds my soul, if I can make sure there's some sort of balance there.
I love it.
I might not start loving my job.
I love it.
But
I will love what I'm doing after the job. So somewhat I'm looking forward to knocking off. Let me get it over and done with so I can go hiking. Let me get it over and done with so I can go do this. So you then find something outside of what you are to sort of motivate you to finish what you've started so that you can go on. I like that statement. I did not know that you are a prophet. That's just amazing. When am I going to be rich, by the way?
A prophet. Soon. Very soon. All of us. Very soon.
Anyway, guys, if you're here and you're asking yourself what's happening here, behind the channel name, there is a join button. When you press on that join button, it's a certain amount that you spend on us every month to ensure that we've got the best equipment, everything that we need to give you a production like this that is good. So when you press the join button, you become a member. And when you're a member, there are certain perks that you're going to get. There's live streams, there's teachings, personal teachings with people like this. I know people from high places and very low places and places in between. You get it? And when you are advertising, this banner right here, this there for you to advertise your product, your event, anything. And don't worry, I do all the graphic design and everything. You just give me your colors, your themes, and everything. Instead of saying support the channel, send an email, it's going to be replaced by your company and everything that you do, and people are going to know. So as people know about your stuff, that's how we get a kickback. That's how you get your brand out there. Thank you. Yes, exposure. Having good guests that know what you want to say when you're going to say it. That's just amazing. Anyway, jumping back, we're speaking work environments.
Yeah.
And we spoke about the challenges of balancing the work and that. And someone is going, like you said earlier, that when your alarm goes off and you go, it's supposed to be, I don't remember a time when my alarm woke me up. I wake up before my alarm because I do what I love. You understand? For someone, that is not the case. And I always never want to make a podcast as if it's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Let's tackle the worst case scenario. For the person that is in there and thinking, I want to leave my job. If someone comes to you and says, no, I suck at this. I'm not happy at my environment. I'm not happy in my relationship. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I want to leave. What do you say as a friend?
I think that obviously there's so much to look at, and I would never suggest that someone just leaves their job if they're the breadwinner in their home and they don't have a backup plan. But I feel like if you hate it that much and it's draining your soul, then have you explored all the options to do something that will feed your soul? Have you looked at that? Have you done courses that might make you better in that or look good on your CV that might open those doors for you? Have you done all of that? Because I think too often we sit and we say, I hate my job. I hate my job. I hate my job. I hate my job. And that's what you're doing all the time instead of going, you know what? I want to be a life coach. I'm going to join Udemy. I'm going to find a course. I'm going to start with a course. I'm going to do some life coaching.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to speak to these people and find out what the channels are for me to start getting into this. Oh, maybe I started as a side hustle. Maybe I do a bit of that on the side and it feeds my soul and it starts bringing in a bit of income until I can substitute the one for the other.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes we just need a bit of a roadmap. Sometimes we just need other options. And a lot of the time I find that people just get swamped with I hate this, I can't do it. They get so swamped with that they don't explore their mind. Our brains are incredible.
True.
So think about it. If you buy a big red truck next week, you decide to get your bakkie. I know that you're a bakkie.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If you go and decide to get your red bakkie.
Yeah.
And you get
It's so funny
bakkie,
that we're in the car coming from Alaka's trials and we saw a red bakkie and Alaka was like, Dad, that's the one. And Mom was like, nah, red is it's too red. It's like, no. So red is coming. Yeah.
There we go. Just suits your personality. Red seemed like the color.
Oh, great.
So if you then got
take
a
it.
red truck, right? Or you've now gone to test drive the red truck and you know that
That's
decided this is the one.
Yeah.
On your way home, how many red trucks do you think you're going to see?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Because our brains are wired that way, that when you focus on something, you will see more of it.
And it was always there. It was always there. Yes.
Your brain just wasn't told to look for it. So now you've trained your brain for, I hate my job. Oh, I hate being here. This is the worst job in the world. Of course, that's what's going to grow. That's what's going to fester. You're going to get sick more. You're going to be depressed. You're going to, and if you start training your brain for, I need to look for opportunities. What are the opportunities? What are the courses I can do? Who are the people I can speak to? You will spot more of those immediately. And it's the same as the algorithms on our phone, right?
Yeah.
Speak about Mauritius holidays.
And it's
Mauritius
there.
holidays.
I even got an inbox from someone that says, when you're in Mauritius, I do boat rides and guide tours.
All of a sudden, everything you see on Instagram, every ad will be about holidays in Mauritius.
Yeah.
Because it's the algorithm. And our brains are the same way. So sometimes we just need to change the way we're thinking so that more opportunity is in front of us, so that we see it, so that we start
see it.
spotting it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that we're training our brain to look for it, as opposed to only looking at the bad.
I love it. It's just like when your wife says they're pregnant, all of a sudden everyone's pregnant.
Oh my gosh, there's just babies everywhere.
Come on, jeez.
And like, look at the prams, and oh my gosh, that's a fancy pram.
You walk into a store and that, jeez, like, come on, is everything has to do with pregnancy?
Right?
Come on.
Exactly.
Anyway, going into December, I felt it, and got to a point where, yes, I do what I love, but you're tired, you're exhausted, you're burning out. And someone is going through that for 12, 15, 30 months on end, and there's no break in their job. How does one get to prevent burnout? I know it's something that you can't. It's just like saying, how does one stop stressing as a parent? It's impossible. But what are some of the steps that one can take to prevent burnout? Have you ever suffered burnout?
Oh my gosh, yes, I have.
Yeah,
in a big way. So I found the most helpful is when you're very stressed, you just have someone tell you stop stressing, and then it's gone, right?
I wish. I
love that,
like,
when you say I'm so stressed, and someone says, but just stop stressing.
Stop stressing. I can just plug it off. Yes,
super
fine.
useful
Easy.
information. Yeah. So again, I think that it's got a lot to do with balance. And why do you feel tired? You feel tired because you're not filling your cup. And I know this is also like a cliche statement or thing to say, but you cannot give from a cup that's empty.
Yeah.
So how do I fill my cup? I need to do things I love. I need to do things that make me feel good. I need to do things that inspire me. And often I think a good place to start is going to speak to someone. And I know this is still taboo in a lot of cultures and with a lot of people.
Us black people will be like to talk to a stranger. Like,
Black people and Afrikaans men. Like, don't tell an Afrikaans man you need to go see a psychologist. Like, gosh.
You're going to make me weak. Exactly. I'm not weak. Like
there's
a
nothing
stranger.
wrong with me. I'm not crazy.
I know what I'm doing.
Crazy,
exactly.
right?
I'm just going through a rough patch, but I'm okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think also what happens often is the people that are in our lives and close to us, because they're so close to us, that they might not be able to speak to us in the right way to open those doors or to make us see different things. So generally when you're in a relationship, you're with a partner, you come home, you vent, they're either going to try and give you solutions or they're going to vent with you. So, she's such a problem.
Exactly, yeah.
And you're both going to feed off of that negativity. And so sometimes it's good to go to someone who can help you open up a toolbox of things of coping mechanisms, things that might help you cope with whatever you're going through. If it's the burnout, if it's the depression, if it's the anxiety, these people are educated. They've studied this. They know what they're doing.
They know, yeah.
And it doesn't mean you're crazy.
From a black person, I promise you, they know what they're doing. Because beforehand, before I did all the talking to someone, I was like, nah, it's not going to change anything. Because it's not like they're going to give me a solution. My problems need 100,000. Are they going to say, after talking, like, yeah, mate, here's 100,000, you're sorted?
Yeah.
No. So I'm thinking, even if I vent, then what? Even if I tell my wife what I'm going through, is she going to give me a solution? And I've got, no. Right. You understand? Up until this actually works. Right. So guys, in the comment section, if you've never been to therapy, if you're Afrikaans, if you're black, go to therapy, mate. Anyway, in the comment section again, give me your fondest memory of Tarryn. I want to know about it. I want to know all the nitty-gritties of my guests. What do they go up to apart from smiling at me? Hey, coach, how are you? I want to know it all. Anyway, I love what you're saying about the burnout and trying to find a substitute. I think it just comes back again to the more you speak about something, the easier it then becomes. For people that can't speak, some write. Does writing really help?
So I'm not the kind of person who writes. If anything is admin, then it feels like hard work. So that feels like admin.
It's admin,
this is
yes.
hard work.
Yeah.
But I definitely think, I know people who it works for. And I think, again, it's whatever pathway you find to offload. Sometimes these burdens are heavy. Man, the bills are heavy.
Yeah.
The
kids are not listening.
The responsibilities I have are heavy. My relationship with my partner is heavy. And so sometimes you just need to offload. And if your way of offloading is into a journal on paper, then do that. If your way of offloading is with friends with a beer,
do it.
Then do it. Find a way to just let go of some of it. And sometimes and you'll know, sometimes just speaking about it. I think that this is why women like having a girlfriend so much, is because I just get to offload every now and then.
Without the fear of they don't know what I'm going through or
judgment.
Yeah.
And I
with
think
us
that's where
gents,
a stranger works well.
A stranger works well.
Because they're not going to judge
But then
you.
in the same breath as well, us gents, for me to come to my mate and say, H, bruh, this is what I'm going through, I'm already thinking that H is going to look at me differently, like, really? I thought you were better than that. Because I once went to a mate, after my sister passed, I struggled to sort of find my balance. And this mate of mine says, dude, come, let's have a beer. And I tried to find ways to get out of it, because I was just, when you don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
It's easier when a woman says, no, when they're going through depression or postpartum depression and all that, they don't want to get out of bed. That was me. And I was like, man, I've got a meeting at 3:00, so I can't do 1:00. It's like, no, even if it's 30 minutes, come.
Yeah.
So we get there, and he says, after I speak to him and I tell him what I'm going through, he's like, no, dude, not you. I find my inspiration from you. Literally, I look at you and I go, geez, Tats is always smiling. I've never seen you grumpy. And I'm like, no, you see, these are the things. As gents, in as much as he was trying to encourage me, but I kind of felt like, you see now, if I'm weak, then that means there are so many people around me that are going to not find relevance or find inspiration in me, because I'm supposed to be this bubbly person. I'm supposed to be this, I got this kind of thing.
Never down, never having a bad day.
And I always do. And I do. And I'm actually going through that now. I did not want to get out of bed up until he forced me. It's like, no, come. We have one beer and that's it, done.
Yeah.
And after speaking, I was like, wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
It's just, I think there is something at the back of our minds as gents that if you speak about it, then you're going to go deeper. Yeah. But actual fact, when
men don't have feelings.
See, exactly. Like we are these metal things and metal objects. So talking is very important. Journaling as well. I don't like, I think I will write once a month. Then for the next day, like, come on. It's hard. Amazing. Thank you so much for stressing that out and exactly where we're trying to go. How do you manage? You are in a workspace, and people from different walks of life, different backgrounds, and whatnot. How then do you manage mental health in a workspace without sort of blurring the lines of productivity?
I think it's a difficult one to answer. I think it very much depends on the environment you work in. There are so many variables here. Do the people that you work with understand the importance of mental health, or do they think it's taboo? But again, I think that if you work in the kind of place where maybe that is frowned upon, not understood, that sort of thing, then you're going to have to find coping mechanisms. Maybe it's sitting at your desk listening to a good podcast while you're doing your work so that you're kept positive and you're in your own space. So I call it a bunker. And I think we're sort of in the same boat in terms of this. Is as a coach and as a leader, I'm also expected to have this energy the whole time.
All time, yes, yeah.
And I'm supposed
even
to
when you don't feel like it, like
right. And I woke up sick this morning. I need to get to work, and when I get to work, I need to smile. I need to ask everyone how they are. There must be no inkling that I'm having a down day.
You understand, yeah.
Because I know it will affect others.
But it screws you up in the same breath, yeah.
But at the same time, pretending that I don't feel bad,
it's still not okay.
Kind of made me feel better.
Oh.
Sometimes if you smile when you feel bad, and you just smile for a little bit, and you smile for a little bit longer.
So it comes like the grumpiness
then
just sort of.
You're like, okay,
it's not too bad.
It's not too bad. Maybe that's just me. People have told me I'm crazy. Maybe it's true. But I think, everyone's different, and this is part of coaching. If you and I did a coaching session, I'd sit and find out from you what inspires you, what makes you feel better, what are the things that feed your soul, what makes you happy, and then find a way to bring that into the workplace so that you're not hating life every second that you're there. And listen, work is not always perfect. If you work with someone that expects constant updates, and you know that giving them that is what's going to make your life easier, then sometimes the playoff that you need.
Just
within reason.
Give them the update then.
Just give them, if that's going to make your life easier, here's your daily update. Now you're off my case. I'm not upset
least,
because you haven't shouted at me. You know what I mean? So I think it's difficult and situation to situation completely different. But you've got to find tools to that you can, like I said, if you're in an accounting position and your job is just a tyrant, and you can put on headphones and listen to music that makes you happy, or a podcast, or a
something that calms you,
TED talk, or whatever that's going to make you forget maybe where you are, and you can just plod on nicely and do what you need to do to get through the day. And that's what you need to do right now. Then
do it.
If that makes it manageable and that's the tool for you, then that's the one.
Wow. I've got questions here, and before that though, but we're going to come back into relationships, so hold on to that thought.
Good.
And Anonymous says, how do I politely decline additional work tasks without feeling like I'm letting the team down?
I think often we decline, if we want to decline, we feel like we're going to let people down or we're going to be the bad guy. I think it's got to, often things are received with a frame of reference, right? So if I am having a bad day, or I have had bad experience with bad employees or bad team members in the past, I have been lied to, I have that frame of reference. Then Tats comes to me and says, I'm not going to do this. And you leave it there. Then I'm like, oh.
Really?
Is it?
Yeah. Really now?
Interesting. Whereas sometimes what's missing is some background, some explanation. So, guys, I can't actually take on any more right now because I'm dealing with X, Y, and Z. Could we make it work like this? And often coming to the table with not just the problem, but a potential solution.
Okay.
So often I think as well, and this works for home as well, you walk into your child's room and the bed's not made, the curtains are still closed, there's flaws on the clothing.
There's clothes on the floor.
There's clothes on the floor. And you walk in and what do? Your room's a mess. You live like a pig.
Yeah.
Why must I do everything?
Scream.
And what is the actual problem? The dirty room.
The dirty room, yes.
Not the child.
It's not the problem. The child.
Is the child really?
You got me there. Yeah.
The
room is a mess.
That's the problem right now.
Yeah.
So how would the conversation change if I said, Tats, come stand here with me. Come stand here next to me. Are you seeing what I'm seeing in your room? This makes it very difficult for me to be calm when I get home because I've come from quite a busy day and now I feel like there's mess in my house and it stresses me out and it makes me feel a bit overwhelmed. What solution do you think we could find to this problem right here? What do you think we could do about this messy room? Do you think you could help me out and take some of the burden off of me and maybe just tidy that up so that I'm not screaming at you?
Well, all of a sudden, I'm not seeing that as, geez, mom is always screaming or my wife is always screaming.
Get off my case.
Do you have to always raise your voice? Whenever I see you come in, I know that you're going to raise your voice.
Why is a dragon? Why does she always get back in a bad mood? Why is she... And it's difficult to monitor your reactions. Reactions are reactive. It's difficult.
It just happens like that.
More mindful of how you're communicating, that can often be better. And I'm not saying I'm perfect.
Wow. That's amazing. I can't wait for the part when you speak about relationships because I'm coming for you. The second one, what's one habit I can implement today to improve my mental health at work? That's a good question.
It is a good question.
Yeah.
And again, it's so open-ended. Everyone's different. I know that meditation, often people think meditation's taboo. I sit with my legs crossed and my hands in this position. And I think meditation is somewhat misunderstood. And I think people need to start realizing that meditation has a lot to do with calming the mind and sort of quietening the noise. And so for me, and I know I also, when someone was like, meditate, I was like, okay. But I think meditation is a very, very good habit to bring into your daily life. And if you start the day with a calm, peaceful mind, after that alarm's gone off and you're like, oh, this again. Oh my gosh, I have to deal with TED and accounts. Instead of starting your day that way, if you start your day with moving your body a bit, whatever you like. If you like weights,
exercise,
if you like yoga,
whatever.
if you like Pilates, if you like a walk, just move and then calm your mind and start the day like that. You could start your day consistently with peace instead of turmoil and the storm and this rage that's happening inside you.
Kevin Hart once said that there's a certain amount of discipline when you wake up at a certain time before work. You wake up at 5 o'clock to go to gym to work on yourself. You've already conquered most things, because every day at 5 o'clock you're waking up to work on yourself for that hour. Then you can go to the boardroom. Then you can go to work. Then you can do this. So it's another thing again. Join a gym. Yeah. You don't even have to join a gym.
No.
On YouTube, there's so many what do you call this?
Home
workouts. If you tell yourself that every day before I sit down for a meeting at 6 o'clock, I'm going to do a 10-minute home workout video. That to me is you're working on yourself before you can have all the time, all the stresses of the world, and the guys from that department and that. And
if you're working on yourself, don't you feel like you're empowering yourself somewhat?
Yeah.
So now I start the day feeling empowered.
Yeah.
And listen, for some people, it might not be moving your body. It might not be meditation. It might be writing in a journal.
Yeah.
Or watching a TED talk.
Yeah.
Or like, I love watching something. Oh, I'm such a nerd. I love watching something educational. So I love it.
I love TED Talks. Yes.
I love a podcast.
Yeah.
I love something about coaching that's going to feed to my knowledge about that I can then pass on to someone else during the day. So that feeds my soul. So I know I'm using workout and meditation, and that is an example. But if writing makes you happy,
do that.
If doing yoga in front of the sunrise makes you happy, if I don't know, whatever,
there's so many things that you can do. Yes.
What's going to bring you peace when you start your day and empower you? Yeah.
That's so amazing that when you work on you, everyone around you will enjoy you more.
Right.
That's why we're like, geez, this boss is grumpy. Every time, mom is grumpy. Every time you hear the engine switch off, we're like, oh gosh, here we go again.
What's it gonna be today?
What is it now? Exactly. Or as husbands as well. Our wives can become so grumpy. Like, I was home the whole day. She was at work. I cleaned it. I did everything. And I know my wife. My wife is super OCD. Yeah. You can clean the house upside down and she still comes like, come on, the mirror. Come on.
Right. Look at the stripes on the mirror.
Exactly.
Did you not see that? Right.
But all in good spirits. Yeah.
Of course.
I need to protect myself.
If you laugh when you're doing it, then I mean, it's
exactly.
all the time,
right? So anyway, amazing chat so far.
I feel like this is going to be a conversation later.
I'm loving it. Okay, let's jump into relationships. Family dynamics and relationships. And before we go into that, the question that I wanted to ask was, what kind of a person are you? Are you the one that is confrontational and let's talk about it now? Or are you the one that says, you know what, let's just sweep it under the carpet now until it's sort of like, when it's boiling, then we can deal with it. And 99% of the times, if you're one or the other, you'll never get a partner that is the same. Yeah. So which one are you?
So who are you asking, me or are you asking my partner?
Ask you first.
Then I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so I used to be very much I'm going to shut my mouth until I get to boiling point, and then I would explode in amazing fashion. Scary. And I look back at that person, I'm like, oh wow. And I've phoned my ex-husband. You can ask him. I phoned him and I've been like, gosh, I'm so sorry. That was horrible. I don't know who I became.
It takes a bigger person though to realize their mistakes and still call and say, dude.
No, like, I owed him. I think, listen, we're both at fault, but I can at least identify where I went wrong. And I think there was some learning curves for me in that. I think I respect so much when I see a marriage as beautiful as yours. It's special, and I think it takes a lot of hard work, and sometimes people forget how hard it is. And so if you're not learning from your past relationships and growing as a person, there's always going to be something niggly. So to answer your question, I'm both. There are things that I do not feel are worth fighting about. And so arguments will pop up or things will be said, and I choose happiness over winning that argument, because is this worth arguing about? I'm really tired, I've had such a bad day, I'm feeling like I'm getting sick, is this worth arguing about right now? Not really.
And it takes a great deal of maturity.
Thank you. And then maybe it's I'll deal with this another time. Maybe it's
don't have to,
whatever, that's not going to matter in 2 years from now. So it doesn't need to be spoken about now. And there's times where things just absolutely trigger me, and then I'm confrontational.
Then which of the two would you advise? Would you say to someone, because at the end of the day, when we say sweep things under the carpet, that's not right. No. At the same time, reacting to everything that is there, every dog that barks, you're going to go for it.
Right.
Then also it's not right. So how does one find a balance with that? Because when we now get into our workspaces or our careers, we get so fixated on trying to make sure that we make it that we so much forget that there's still a family that's part of that career. Right. So as you're going to university and studying for that or got that job, it's not just about you going to the office. Yeah. There is a kid that you left behind. There's a partner that you left behind. They are also part and parcel of the equation to ensure that the work environment is safe, is good. How do we navigate and balance that?
There's so many quotes or teachings that I could impart here, and I think I need to pick carefully. But one of the things, I watched a video, and I'll see if I can send you the link so you can add it to this. But it was a guy who spoke about being in the Hudson crash, the plane that landed on that thing. Yeah. And he said that in that moment, realizing that he might just be dead in a few seconds, you reevaluate life and what's important. And so when he went back home to his wife, it was very much a case of, is this worth arguing about? Am I going to choose being right over being happy? Is this going to matter in 2 years' time? And I think that is such a valuable lesson. I think often we take for granted how much time we're going to have with this person. And if you've lost someone, it can disappear.
It does.
In a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And so is this important enough that I need to now prove how right I am? Or is it the kind of thing that I can let go?
And I'll still be okay after.
Yeah. Or is it so important to me because it speaks to my core that when I've calmed down and I've got my thoughts placed in rational order, that then we have an adult conversation about it? Because I know as well, I have a hot temper. I can fly off the handle, and then I just talk at you. And I just
keep going and keep going.
Yeah, my ex-husband said I should have been a lawyer.
Okay,
I was like,
give
now you
and
are going to hear
now you're going to hear
me. I'm going to show you how right I am. And I think often I just need to, I know that I've got a hot temper, and it's something that I recognize in myself. So sometimes I know, and even with Callie, I know that sometimes I just need to calm down to a mild simmer so that I can think there's a person I love sitting opposite me. And you need to remind yourself
whatever that I'm going to say must not affect this relationship.
Yeah, so what message am I trying to convey here? Because I don't want you to think that I don't love you when I say this. Maybe I want to tell you that what you did hurt me. And then you're sending a different
But it's
message.
not screwing up our relationship.
Exactly.
Yes,
because then you might communicate it in a way that's now not hurting you. You did that wrong. What you did was disgusting. I can't believe you did that to me. And instead I'm sitting saying, Tats, the way you reacted earlier in public in front of those people, it really hurt me because it made me feel like in that moment you didn't respect me. And now the message is completely different.
Emphasis on in that moment. Yeah. So it's not what you do to me makes me feel like this. Yeah. In that moment, it's a tiny bit of a statement that says a lot. So if you are approaching me as a partner, I'm thinking, oh, I did not mean it that way. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then something I saw the other day, which I think was so empowering as well, is often in conversations with our partner, they'll be very set off by something you say, and then later on you figure out that you intended nothing of the sort. So when your partner's very, very offended by what you say, then you say, listen, just what did you hear when I said those words? What did you hear? What was the message you received? And then I can understand how I made you feel.
Wow.
So then I can say, oh my gosh, that was never my intention.
And it's okay for them to say exactly how they had it.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
And we spoke about, you and two young men spoke about this on one of your other podcasters. It's so important that you create a safe space for your partner to be able to say those things. Otherwise, they will not. Yeah.
Because the moment I then say, no, I felt belittled. No. That's the thing, man.
Why do you always
come on, man. Why do you have to come at me like that? Because at the end of the day, I was trying to reprimand you for doing what you did, and I did not like it. Now you feel like
it always becomes you always do. You never do. You are this. Instead of talking about, again, what is the problem?
Let's address the problem.
The problem, yeah. And I'm not saying you're the problem. The problem is potentially the way you spoke to me in front of my friends. That's the problem. Let's talk about that problem. Why did that happen? Can we stop it happening again? How do we stop that from happening again?
That's amazing. In the same breath, for me, you know, when you say, let's have a conversation. If my wife says, let's have a conversation, all of a sudden I'm thinking, you know what, I've got no patience to be set down like a child or be spoken to like a child. My wife knows that when she raises her voice, I shut out.
Yeah.
When she says, let's sit down and have a talk, honestly, it's not me. And she has come to understand that over years, that when she screams, and to her, she's trying to express her emotions. Yeah. But then to me, I'm already thinking, not.
I just want to make my voice louder so that you can hear the point I'm trying to get across. Because you're not listening.
I always say to her, why are you raising your voice? Because I'm next to you.
Because I want you to hear me. Because
I can hear you. I'm next to you. You understand?
But that's what we usually do.
Exactly. So it just comes back to understanding each other as partners that the problem is not you. There is a problem here. Let's both address the problem is.
Let's identify the problem and then address the problem.
Address the problem.
And stick to the problem, because I think often, especially when you've been dating or married and it's a long relationship, there's a lot of, again, frame of reference, right? There's a lot of background noise.
Yeah.
And then I want to bring up things that happened 2 years ago. No. Let's address the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem.
Because I always used to struggle as well with, let's suppose we're in a heated argument. Then obviously maybe her points were more than me. But then later on, as it's still ringing, I'm like, no, man, I was supposed to say this. I was supposed to respond like this.
Like, I had said that.
I should have. That was a good
then
comeback.
I would have won.
But again, it's not about coming back. It's about making sure that if we have spoken about it and there's still points that I still have, it's okay to say not
now.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Because if those things still build up, by the time that we're then addressing something totally different, I'm going to speak about stuff that happened in 1998. Yeah, I saw you did this, and you always do that.
You ate one of my chips, and that affected you.
Exactly.
So I think that's important, and I think as well, sometimes it's as simple as asking, so you don't like when I shout at you at that moment when I'm angry. You get very anxious when I say we need to have a talk. How can I bring my problems to you without making you feel that way? And then you are going to have to say to your wife, I would feel more comfortable if you said, Tat, something's been on my mind. When are you open to chatting about it? And then maybe I'm not anxious because we need to talk. And we're not fighting because you screamed at me in the moment.
It's a good environment. It's a peaceful environment.
So now you're not on edge when your wife says we need to talk. And then when you get there, you're not defenses up. Here comes the fight. Or boxing gloves. Let's go. And instead, I say to you, I have something on my chest and I'd like to discuss it with you. When are you open to doing that?
Sure.
And now we're both in a calmer place to sit down and say, okay, so this is what I needed to get off my chest. You're not wall up when you walk in the room. And our ears are a bit more open. And
everyone wants to listen. Yeah.
And again, there must never be a winner, right? This is
we love that in relationships.
Everyone loves winning.
Yeah,
right? It's human.
You must say sorry.
More for some of us than others, right?
You must say sorry, and the woman goes, wee, to get to sorry. Right. Yeah. We just go straight. Love, I'm sorry. What do I do with all this anger now? You're rushing to say sorry. What do I do with it?
Don't ask H about how long it takes me to say sorry, because I need to prove my point first.
Oh, my soul.
So none of us are perfect, and I think
obviously.
I think sometimes especially if you have a very, what's the word I want to use? A-type personality. If I want to win, I'm very
a competitive age.
I'm very competitive. I want to win.
But we don't play to lose.
The best way to win is win together. By solving the problem that is the problem. And not I was right, he said sorry,
that statement was too good. Please repeat that.
Oh my gosh.
That was too good.
How did I say that? On the spot. I can say it probably a different way, but neither of us, there's
the
no
best
one
way
winner.
for us to win.
The best way for us to win is by solving the problem that's the problem, which is neither of us, right?
It is, yes.
That's the problem. Identify the problem, solve the problem, and then we both win. It's not whoever said sorry first or whoever made the better argument, whoever shouted the loudest, whoever gave up before. It's oh, we found a solution to what is actually causing pain in our relationship.
And we've won.
Now we've won together.
Where is it? How do we balance setting boundaries and still, yes, everyone wants freedom. But once you set boundaries, everyone in a relationship has got their boundaries. We may be in a relationship, but these are my boundaries, these are your boundaries, respecting those boundaries. How do you set them and not feel like, she's a party pooper? Now I can't take a chippy from the plate because it's her boundary.
Yeah.
How do I respect that? At the same time, my love language is
Let's share.
share. Sharing is caring.
I think when it comes to boundaries, it's important for there to be background understanding. So if I have a boundary, I don't like you touching my food, then I think what often happens is that don't touch my food. Don't put your hands in my food. I don't like your hands in my food. Now I've made you the problem again, right? Instead of saying, listen, let me open up to you about this. I don't like my food being touched because I'm a bit of a germaphobe. So as much as I love sharing things with you, when I'm eating, then all I'm thinking about is how many hands have touched my food, and it makes me really anxious, and then I lose my appetite and I no longer want to eat. And then the moment that we're sharing together is sort of tarnished by that. But maybe a solution is that we get a share plate of chips. And then I know this plate of chips is for sharing.
It's ours. Okay.
It's ours for sharing. Maybe that would, now I've come with a better understanding for you to understand why I don't want to share my food. And it's not because I'm an a-hole. It's not because I don't love you. It's not because I don't want to share. It's because I've got this thing in the back of my head that there's chojos on my food.
This is who I am.
So I think often what happens is we don't give background to why that boundary is important to us. And then I think the other important thing is to ask questions. I think so often we want to talk about our stuff instead of asking questions. Tell me, why is it that it's important to you for us to share food off the same plate? What is so important about that for you?
Wow.
Because maybe it's not that important to you. Maybe it's just habitual.
But it is, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe it really is, because this shows me we're close because we're sharing like a basic need together.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a different basic need that'll still give you that security.
Wow.
But it's not making me anxious about how much stuff is crawling on my food.
But then in the same breath, we spoke about it earlier when you said it's what you hear. Sometimes if you say you don't want to share my food because of germs, I'm hearing, but you kiss me. Yeah, you kiss me. We share the same bed. We share the same house. We eat all the same plates. Now all of a sudden you're saying, when I take your chippy, there is germs. That's how I'm hearing it. And it's so important again to say, when you then say don't, it's okay for me to ask, what happens?
Yeah, what's the big deal? What's the problem with it?
Yeah.
Why does it irk you so much? And again, then if you can see your partner's getting irritated because now I've said, I feel like there's germs on my food, and then it puts me off. It's important that there's a safe enough space that your partner can then say, I feel like you saying that makes you think that I'm dirty. Or I haven't washed my hands.
Which is okay again. It's a valid question from them as well.
And then, to then acknowledge that. And this is the other thing that I think is very important when it comes to partners and conversations with partners is we have this thing that, so I use it as an example in my home as well, is sometimes I hurt you unintentionally. And I know I am absolutely guilty of this. And then I'll be like, that's your hurt. You made that hurt with how you heard me.
Oh, it's you.
I didn't hurt you.
Don't make your problems mine.
You got hurt by what I said. And sometimes we need to realize that if you hurt by what I said, I might not have intended to create that hurt. But the reality is that I hurt you, whether it was intentional or not.
And I'm sorry.
So I acknowledge that. I'm so sorry that I made you feel dirty. That wasn't my intention. I don't know where this comes from about the germs on food. Maybe it was things my parents said to me.
Or maybe when you're growing up, things happened, yes.
Maybe when I was growing up, but it's this thing in my head and it's there and I don't know what to do with it.
Wow.
And now we've made the problem that I don't want germs on my food, not the problem you sharing with me. Let's share something else.
It's not now about me feeling dirty. It's me understanding that maybe there's childhood traumas that happened.
Right.
Maybe at some point someone dropped all kids and siblings. Where I saw actually one yesterday. He takes a piece of Kit Kat, rubs it on the dog's balls, right? Then goes and feeds his brother.
It was boys.
Boys, obviously. Standard.
It was boys, obviously.
So now the little brother eats it and goes, thanks, bro.
And then there's this
So imagine when that kid then finds
it.
out that I've been eating chocolate fed by my brother off my dog's bowls. He's screwed.
Right.
You understand?
And he will find out. And then there's going to be some freaking childhood trauma around it.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. Like, we all have baggage.
We do.
And there's such a cliche saying, right? Find someone to help you unpack. And it's not that we need to unpack. Maybe you just need to understand what my baggage is.
That's it.
And why you touching my food triggers me so badly.
It makes me think of that chocolate that I was eating.
Right? Yeah. All I can think about is my food touching dogs.
And I don't know how many times he did it. Maybe he did it once.
Maybe.
Then the second time he was trying to prove to me that this was... I'm
maybe
thinking,
that kid's never going to eat
every
chocolate
other
again.
time that you fed me chocolate, it was coming from...
Maybe he's never going to eat chocolate again. Maybe he's never going to trust again.
Exactly.
There's going to be something,
Exactly.
right?
Lastly, with relationships, how do we keep ourselves accountable when it comes to your personal growth and your partner's personal growth? Because at the end of the day, we may be two or one, but then we've got our own individual personal goals that we want to develop, and it's okay for us to then respect that.
Yes.
Then to respect that you need to go study further. And you need to respect that I'm done with what I've got.
Yes.
That kind of thing. How do we...
I think that's important. And I think, again, communication is important. So if I do not like that you work till 7 o'clock at night and I cannot understand why you spend that much time at the office, perhaps it's a case of you sitting down and saying, you know what, Tarryn, I am at the office till 6, 7 o'clock at night because I have big goals for our family. I have seen a house that I want to buy. It's a 4-bedroom house with a garden, a pool. I want to send the kids to Trinity House. I want to send them for private cricket coaching 4 times a week. I want to go on 2 family vacations overseas a month. A year. A month.
A month.
Rolling in it.
Don't mind that. Yeah.
Right? So I think sometimes we just haven't communicated why or the importance around that. So I think it's very important to have goals and to share those goals and to share the importance behind the goal. So the goal is not money. What is the money going to bring to our home? What is the money going to mean for us?
Yeah.
What is getting fitter going to mean to me? I'm going to be more confident. I'm going to be more... and that'll help me at work. I'll feel better. So often we just need to explain to our partners, and in creating those boundaries and their understanding, explain the importance behind those things. Because often we just like, I want to make more money.
Like I want to, yes.
I'm going to be working longer hours. You must just be okay with that. Explain why, so that there's understanding. Now maybe I'm a little less angry when you get home as dinner's landing on the table and you haven't helped me with it, and you haven't helped me with the kids' homework. Now maybe I understand, wow, this man's trying to create an amazing home for us. Maybe I have a bit more understanding now.
Wow. A quick game, and you need to answer in 10 seconds or less. Right? And it says, career or relationship, which one should take priority in a crisis? 10, 9, 8,
relationship.
7. Relationship.
Well, that was hard. These are tricky. It's so difficult. I think the two are so intertwined.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Number 2. One quality every successful relationship needs. 10.
Trust.
Wow. Why trust?
If you trust each other, I think there's respect for each other. If there's respect for each other, we communicate in that way.
All right. How do you know when it's time to change a career? 10.
When you wake up every day hating your job.
This sorted this. Amazing. Lastly, please share with us any personal stories or transformative decisions. When you had come to make tough life decisions.
I think my divorce was a huge learning curve for me. So I think at the time, I was a completely different person. And I think that at the time, I felt that I was doing absolutely everything that I needed to do to figure out whether we should stay in this marriage or not. And after that, I think trauma, if you do trauma right.
You do trauma right.
I think if you, so this is something I love teaching my child. There's a lesson to be taken from everything. So failure is not failure. It's failure if you don't take a lesson from it. So I saw my divorce as a huge failure on my part. I failed my child. I failed my family. I failed myself. I failed him. I failed. But I've taken a lot of lessons out of it and I feel less failed. So I realize now that for us, probably communication was just so off kilter. So I will always try harder to communicate better, and not just in my marriage now, but with everyone. Because I know that that's a big flaw. And I realize it in hindsight because of what we went through. But if I've grown as a person from that, then maybe it wasn't all for nil.
We've got a question here. How do I overcome fear when taking a leap into the unknown?
How do you conquer fear when taking a leap into the unknown?
Yeah.
I think that if anything you're leaping into is big and it's a change and it's drastic, there will always be fear. And I think that fear is natural in a sense. Fear of something new is natural. Fear of the unknown is natural. But I think you need to learn to listen to your gut, because often we're taught to ignore our gut feelings. Often. I think we teach our kids to ignore their gut feelings.
Come on, you got this. Just go.
And so we're often taught to ignore these gut feelings and our intuition. And I think you need to sit quietly with yourself and figure out, does this fear have a level of excitement to it? Or is it all just anxiety? And figure out, is there a positive fear here? Like, that first day of school. Like, you were scared.
And you don't know what to expect, yes.
But you were excited.
That was amazing as well.
You were excited. You were scared.
But
the excitement sort of overshadows
the fear.
And I think as adults, we get bogged down and we get confused because there's so many other things we need to think about. Bills and shopping and what's dinner and whatnot. And sometimes you just need to sit quietly with yourself and figure out, am I scared of this because it's new? Am I scared of it because I don't want to do it? Am I scared of it because it's so different? And figure out where the fear is stemming from, and if it's misplaced fear or if the excitement overshadows the fear. And then I think you'll have better direction.
Tarryn, you've been amazing.
Thank you.
I enjoyed the chat. Like, we can speak for 2 hours
100%.
on end and just keep on going. But unfortunately, we can't.
We could. We just wouldn't have to record.
Exactly. What's your parting advice to share with our audience?
I think if I could give everyone any advice, it would be, if you focus on self-development, every other part of your life should get better. Because if you learn how to communicate better, if you learn how to understand better, if you learn how to, whatever these skills are that you're learning, if you learn how to cope with things better, if you learn how to control your temper better, if you learn how to, anything you're improving yourself with will feed into all the parts of your life. And that will immediately bring you more balance. Lastly, this is a very tough one, everyone that comes. And by the way, you're the first guest for 2025. So, awesome stuff. No, second, sorry. If you were me here, what question would you want to ask Tarryn for people to know about? Where do you find these
questions? I know, right?
Oh my gosh.
Everyone goes, what? Geez, you never prepared me for this one. And I don't. If you were sitting here asking you as the host, what would you want people to know?
What drives you? I think that's always a nice question to ask people.
What drives
you? What drives me? My daughter. I want to be her best role model. I want to give her, I don't want to say everything I can. Everything that I feel is good for her to have.
Everything you can.
No, kids want lots of weird things. If she asks for a pony, I'm not going to give her a pony.
Okay.
I want to give her everything that I feel is good for her. I want to give her advice that I feel that's good for her. I want to give her opportunities that are good for her. I want to grow her into the best person that she can be.
Wow. You're doing an amazing job. Let's just put it out there. I know you always send me a message and I'm cheering now, but honestly, you are. When you see a child and it's a direct replica of what mom is, it's amazing. Well done. Well done. I don't think women are told that enough.
You read my mind. I was going to say, I don't think women hear enough. And as a mom, it's so freaking hard. There's an ad where they do this thing where they interview for a job position and they're like, you will work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You will stand on your feet 10 hours a day. You will be expected to be on call. And it's this whole like joke job interview. And it comes down to, oh, you're applying for the position of mom. And sometimes it really feels that way. And I think all moms just need a little.
Yeah. So well done. Tap on your back, pat on your back. You're doing a great job. And thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
It's been amazing.
Yes.
Thought-provoking, inspiring, and everything. And it's so amazing that we can have such a conversation and have a beer and go like, you know, let's just keep going and just talk.
There's so much to speak about.
Yeah. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you.
Guys, if you're still here, I know you're still here, obviously. Thank you so much. Remember, liking, sharing, and subscribing is there to support the channel. The banner down below is there for you to advertise your product and your brand out there. And the join button is for you to help us to secure more equipment. There's so much things that we need in the production, in the studio, outside the studio, and making sure that all the guests that come through, we also help them somehow to come through. There's fuel, there's mileage, there's wear and tear, there's water, there's coffee, there's beers, and you name it. All those things add up. So thank you so much if you're still here. We'll see you guys on the other side. Remember, live long and prosper. And from me and Tarryn, cheers for now. Bye.